Hello, this recording is just to show you what happens when you get a Sony A1 Mark II brand new camera, which arrived today. So the setup menu comes up and you can click the language you want, which I'm going to click English. Set accessibility functions for screen reader, etc. I'm going to say not now. Certain features may involve the use of biometric data. Well, they don't really give you a choice to opt out, so I guess I'll just have to click understand. And now unfortunately, there we go. So you can perform initial camera settings with your smartphone. I'm going to do set on the camera. We're going to connect to the, so I'm going to push the trash button on the back of the camera. So set area, date, and time. Actually, you know what? Maybe we could do this on the camera. On the phone, I mean. So let's start over again. Let's go. Swapping to left to right up calls out the touch function icon and function menu. Huh. That's cool to know. Alright. So here we are on the camera. Now I'm going to turn the camera off. We're still learning this a little bit. Turn the camera back on. Alright. This video is about setting up the Sony A2. I'm sorry. Hello, this video is about setting up the Sony A1 Mark II digital camera. I'm going to choose English for the language, and I'm going to do not now. And let's go ahead and try doing set on creators app. Let's just see what happens. So it says setting the camera's Bluetooth function to on. Alright. Awaiting connection from the creators app. Wait a second. I just realized that it does not pick up my voice when I'm trying to use the creators app. So that's a little bit tough. So we're going to go ahead and install the creators app using an iPad actually, instead of the cell phone. So instead of a cell phone, we're going to use an iPad for this. So I'm going to hold my iPad up, point the iPad at the QR code, and then it takes me to sony.net. And the sony.net redirects me to the Sony's Creators app in the App Store, which has 1.4 thousand ratings and a 3.6 star average rating. Well, by the way, the camera's battery is about dead right now, so I'm going to have to switch batteries, so hold on just a second. Let me actually turn the camera off. And then I'll switch batteries. By the way, I have noticed that Sony always ships their cameras with dead batteries for some reason. And hello, here I am again. Let's do English again, and let's do not now, and let's do set on the creators app. So it's going to do open. So I open the creators app, and I'm going to click agree and proceed on the creators app on my iPad. Click agree and proceed. That's great. And then click agree and proceed again. Agree and proceed again. Register says I'll do register later. That was trying to make you take like 25 zillion years, and I'm going to do it. There's no way to opt out of this, but there's a survey about please tell us about you. So I'm just going to do answer the questions real quick. So I'll do allow. Okay. Allow full access. So now I'm going to do connect your camera. I'll click next on the app. Wait a second, actually, hold on. Just a second. Let me start this over. Let me start screen recording on my iPad actually as well, so I can add this video later. Forgot to do that. So I'm going back to opening I'm going back to opening the Sony Creators app again. Register later. Connect to your camera. Click next. And it says A1 Mark II at the top. So I'll click on that one. And it says allow access on the next screen, location and so forth. Allow on the next screen. I'll click allow while using app. Allow Creators app to find Bluetooth devices. Allow. Pairing to A1 Mark II. I'll click pair. Then I'll click start connection. And I'm doing this on my iPad so that I can use my iPhone for the microphone for this video, by the way. Select an accessory. ILCE1 Mark II. Pairing request. I'll click pair. Confirm that the code shown on your smartphone is the same as below. Press OK. 509-3094, and so I'll press OK. Operate the app to complete the connection. Pair again. Okay, so it's connected. Now that it's connected, I'm going to change it to 5 gigahertz, and I'm going to go to the initial camera settings. So I'm recording my iPad screen right now. So the daytime format. Now, by the way, the cool thing about doing it with your smartphone is that it can actually get the date and time directly from the atomic clock on the network, and that helps it be more accurate. So daytime, July 17th, 1:05 or 13:06 p.m. Excellent. The device name, auto off power temperature standard. Okay, everything looks good actually. Use above settings. The initial camera settings have been completed. That was pretty easy. All right, perfect. So here we are looking at the camera settings right here. Now that we've done the initial settings with the app, we are now going to show you how to set up the camera from the back of the camera. So I'm actually going to just close this app completely from my iPad. I'm going to stop recording on my iPad, and I'm going to go back to recording just the back of the camera. So first thing I'm going to do is push the menu button, and there's the my menu settings. There's the main menu right there. Let's go down to the shooting menu. Okay, so image quality. First thing you want to do when you get a new camera, obviously, JPEG is like from from around 1990. Nobody should ever be using it anymore. In fact, that's my pet peeve with programs like DxO Photo Lab, is they don't even offer exports to HIF files or HEIC files or anything like that. So let's do HEIF 422. That's the best quality. It's 10 bits, way far better, and it's actually a much smaller file size. Far better quality, way greater dynamic range, and a small file size. You definitely cannot lose when you're doing that. So let's go down through these menus right here. Everything looks good. Okay, we're going to do video settings some other time. Let's look at this. File number series, set file name. Now let's think about this. This is, I've gotten to the letter M already in my cameras. So we need to delete those, and I always set the letters on my cameras to start with J for my name, J, and then I started with JAA for the first camera of the Sony A7R Mark IV. That's when I started doing this. And then I went to the Mark IVA, and then the Mark V, and also the Sony A1 and the Sony A1 II. So this particular camera is the nth camera that I've gotten. So I've gone through camera A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, and this is N. So everything is going to start with a JAN, which sounds like January, but it's not January, it just is a coincidence. So the first 3 letters are JAN. Click OK. That way, anything that's taken with this camera will not ever have an overlapping file name with any other camera, and I can also tell which camera it came from. So that's perfect. That's good. Okay, now it's going to push the menu button to go back to the higher level menu. Oops. Hold on just a second. So copyright info, we got to set that. Always make sure that you write your copyright information in the camera. So set the photographer name. These are just the dumbest things in the world that should let you type with the keyboard or something. S. Joseph K. Myers. Okay, and then I'm going to do set the copyright. Now it's stupid it's separate. It should offer an option to do the same, but since a lot of photographers are being abused, and they are like working for hire, and somebody else owns the copyright, which is appalling. No artist should ever be demeaned in that way. Now, by the way, I push it 3 times, then I go up once, and then I push it 4 times to get to the S. Okay. There we are, and then push menu to go back. Now, for some reason, I push menu once it's not on the camera, it's not doing it right. Okay, there we go. Write serial number on. Always make sure that you do write the serial number. I don't know why it's off. If you're using like 25 cameras at once in your news agency, there's absolutely no way to sort them by which camera switch unless you write the serial number, so that should always be on. I don't have no idea, like maybe somebody thought it was bad for privacy or something and so they didn't have it on. It should always be on. Never have that off. That's just completely ridiculous. Okay, recall camera setting. Although I guess if you publish your photos and you don't take out that EXIF information of the serial number, somebody could falsely report your camera as stolen, maybe, just like to be mean, and then you might not be able to sell it. So I mean, I guess there could be some reasons for doing that, but the moral of the story is don't publish your images with all the EXIF info in them. All right. So by the way, later on we're going to set up some presets and put them into the memory of the camera later on. So drive mode, that's actually controlled by a dial on the top of the camera. And let's do continuous shooting speed. This is a little crazy, but we're gonna see. Okay, this is the stupidest thing in the world. I hate this. Sony, you've got to grow up and change this. This is period just unacceptable. There has to be an option given to set these to something like 7 images per second. It's ridiculous that you don't have any other option for slow shooting except for 5 or 10 images per second. That is abysmal and abominable and completely ridiculous. Like, are you serious, bro? Like, you should be able to do this at like 12 or something. That's completely stupid. This is more brain dead than a dodo, bro. This is completely ridiculous. So anyway, that's stupid. We can't change any of those setting things. So that's probably way too fast, bro. Pre-capture. Weird. We're going to do that some other time. Self-timer single, bracket, 0, okay, good. Interval, pixel off, okay. Silent mode. Let's do on. Like, I feel like your camera should do its job and be quiet. Actually, if you're shooting models, sometimes it's good for them to hear that. Let's turn that off. Besides, on the Sony A1, you can actually put your finger over the microphone button and actually make it quiet. So let's use electronic shutter. We want to use electronic shutter as much as possible. Okay. Let's do release without card, disable. Release without lens, enable, that's fine, whatever. Anti-flicker shooting, let's turn this on. Although I've noticed that Sony has gotten worse, not better, at anti-flicker shooting recently. 3 or 4 years ago, I was able to take virtually perfect pictures in this gym in Wichita, and now, same exact gym, same exact lights, every picture is full of awful flickers. Okay. Okay, let's do a good line display on, bro. Let's do both, bro. Okay, this is what you have to turn off if you're doing like studio flashes, like policy bluff flashes or something for a studio shoot. Otherwise, you won't be able to focus properly. For right now, we don't need to do anything with that. Okay. Looks good. Okay. Let's do a rear sync. Let's do like a little bit down. White balance, we're going to change that later, but pretty much if you have any control over your environment at all, or if you know where you're being, you should never use auto white balance, especially if you're not shooting raw. So we're just going to set this to, yeah, that's fine. Okay. Okay, now here's what I do change though. I pretty much always shoot a little bit lower contrast. Pretty much that gives me, if I'm shooting in HIF mode, it gives me a little bit more dynamic range in my files. So let's do maybe 3, 2, 1. Like that. Oh, and then also, if you have sharp lenses, you never ever need to, let's do saturation up 4, and let's do sharpness down to 0. If you have sharp lenses, the sharpness is in this menu is fake sharpness, and you only need it if you have terrible lenses. If you have super sharp lenses like G Master lenses, you don't need that at all. Uh-oh, my computer just went kaput. Okay, there we go. Sharpness range. Let's do clarity 0. Okay, cool. We can change this later. Alright, I'm just going through all these menus. This is fine. Alright. Good. That's cool. can do some of those things later. Now, the one problem that I don't like about this thing is if you have several smart devices, the whole pairing thing is ridiculous. You should be able to easily pair with multiple things and just select them from a menu on your cell phone and use any of your cell phones or iPads to control them with. They have this stupid idea that nobody has more than one device and no more than one camera, which is ridiculous. By the way, the Sony Professional Services is a joke. I signed up for it and I found out you can only service one item a year. I have like maybe 25 professional full-frame DSLRs from Sony mirrorless SLR, mirrorless cameras from Sony, and it's a joke if you can only service one of them per year. So I just canceled that immediately after the first year. What a joke. You can also get like a service plan for one camera for 4 years for like $500 or something if you want. Okay, so now notice that the date and time has already been set. Now, one bad thing about cameras from Sony is that their clocks in the cameras are horrible. I've seen them get off by like 12 or 15 seconds in a single week. One camera gets ahead, one camera gets behind, and then when you put those pictures from those two cameras together into a gallery, everything is out of order. You're seeing pictures all mixed together. Pictures of the kiss from a wedding are all mixed in with pictures from like a minute later when they're talking to somebody. It's completely horrible. Cameras need to keep their clocks synced because it's absolutely essential to any professional camera. Anybody who has more than one camera, who's not like a 4-year-old with their first camera, they need to have clocks in their cameras that are perfectly accurate and kept in sync with the atomic clock somehow. All right. Now, by the way, the monitor brightness, that's really a critical thing because if you're shooting in a bright place like the daylight, and if you don't turn your monitor a little bit brighter, you're going to end up overexposing all of your pictures without even realizing it because what you see in the camera looks so dark. Just because your screen looks so dark, almost black in the bright daylight. So if you're in the daylight, you need to brighten the monitor. Always remember that. That's something a lot of photographers don't realize. I've seen photographers literally ruin their entire careers for years just because they didn't realize to set their monitor brightness brighter during the bright and also darker. When you're inside, all your pictures are going to turn out super dark unless you turn your monitor brightness down to match the darkness. The reason why is because if you're in the dark and you take a picture, it's going to look super bright on the monitor because your monitor is set for a bright room. So then you're going to turn your picture down dark to make it look normal when you're in the dark room seeing your bright monitor. So your monitor brightness has to match the surroundings. But it doesn't work if you do the auto brightness. So the auto brightness constantly keeps changing every second, just like auto ISO, which is horrible. You never want to use either one of those things. No auto brightness at all. But make sure you remember to set it yourself though. Good, auto review is off. Okay, that's what I want to make sure about. Now here's one thing I always change. I use 2 minutes instead of 1. Because if you use multiple cameras like I always do, you're going to need a camera to stay on for more than a minute. Just in case you pick it up. There's nothing more stupid than trying to grab a camera that you need critically and it already went to sleep. Completely ridiculous. Wow. It's amazing how these so-called professional cameras are designed for complete idiots who are not real photographers at all. Okay, perfect. By the way, I am actually using HDMI right now to record this video through an HDMI to USB converter that's plugged into my MacBook Pro. Alright, let's make sure it's firmware 2.01. Okay, good. So this is a brand new Sony A1 Mark II camera, just shipped from back order, received today by next day or shipping, ordered yesterday. And so it does have the current Okay, good. It does have the current firmware. So that's pretty much all I have to do to set up the main settings on the camera. Now, let's save this video and make a new video about setting up the camera settings.